It all began when I was 5 years old. So there was me, my mom, my brother, and my dad. One big happy family, and my mom had a relative, a cousin, who was a single parent. He had 3 kids, and him and his wife had separated recently. So my mom, being the good-natured person that she is, she decided to help and support him because he was finding it particularly difficult with 3 kids. He would often come and stay with us during summer holidays, Easter holidays, bank holidays, and my mom would give him some respite and help out with the kids. It was the summer holiday when I was 5 years old, and they came to stay for a fortnight. And my dad worked shifts, so either be it days or nights, and wasn't really around an awful lot because of work. Whereas my mom was the stay-at-home mom, the normal, typical mom. And it all began, so there are a few instances that particularly spring to mind. So I guess initially at about 5 years old, it started with kissing, touching inappropriately, and then it moved on to sexual intercourse, and that continued until the age of 8. In terms of I guess the way that he would go about that, this person was a family member, so there was already an element of trust, and he was trusted, especially by my mom, because he was a member of her family as opposed to being a member of my dad's family. And in order to get time where it was either just me or it would be just the two of us or not, he would very much use his position as a parent to his advantage. So particular circumstances which spring to mind is when my mom needs to go to the shop. My dad was at work and he offered to look after myself and my little brother while my mom was at the shop. My mom's told me years afterwards that at the time she did question it, whether or not she has kind of that gut feeling. It was, should I leave my child? But because it was unheard of, kind of to be unable to leave your child with someone, but she thought, do you know what, he's a family, I've already let him into my home, he's got children himself, he's a parent, he wouldn't do that, he wouldn't do anything. So she went off to the shop. It was literally a 5 minutes pop to the shop in order to get milk, and that was the first instance where he abused me. Other instances that spring to mind include so he had a 2-year-old son, and he was at the age still when he needs to have a nap in the day. With my mom in the home, he would say, okay, I'm just going to take Ali upstairs to bed, and do you want to help me out, and you can like hold his hand or whatever. And my mom used to encourage it because she thought, okay, it's fine, nothing's going to happen. We're all one big happy family. We're all like blood relations and stuff. So my mom was downstairs, so she thought, what am I to know? Like, there is nothing I wouldn't know any different. And he'd use that to his advantage. And he'd use those occasions as well to abuse me. Other instances were years later when my mom and dad had separated. My mom was looking for a property in the same city that he was living in, so we had to go and stay with them. And he used the same ploy, if you like, the same tactics. Say, okay, you go and check out this property. In the meantime, I'll tell you what, it's getting close to the kids' bedtime. I'll put them to bed. Once again, he attempted then to abuse me. And it was only at that point that after several years had passed, I actually had the confidence to say, I don't want this anymore. And there were probably instances where my mom said to me, since that she has seen instances where she knows I was trying to tell her, but didn't know how to articulate it. So either way, he would offer to look after us, and I'd say to my mom, no, I want to come with you, or I want to come to the shops with you, or I'll come to see this property with you, or whatever it may be, I'd want to come with you. And at the time she thought, right, okay, it's just being a little bit delicate or just wants to be around her mom. But every parent knows you can't always be around your mom or your dad all the time. And you have babysitters or you have family members that sometimes need to support you. So you can go, actually, I need to do this on my own for a moment. And it was only several years later that she actually put two and two together. Once I told her actually what had happened, that all the jigsaw pieces started to fall into place, and actually all these times that you were telling me you didn't want to stay there, all these times when he was telling me, oh, it's all right, it's only 5 minutes here and 5 minutes there, nothing's going to happen in 5 minutes, things happen in 5 minutes. So I told my mom when I was 8 what had happened, and you could see her face. She was absolutely distraught. That's the look that will never leave you, because it's not something you want to tell your mom, and you can't tell your parents in case they won't love you anymore or they won't want you anymore. He said you'll get into trouble. They'll shout at you, you'll get smacked, all this sort of stuff. And there were instances where you did believe what he said. So one time that comes to mind is his 2-year-old son was grouchy when he was overtired and didn't want to have an afternoon nap. And my uncle made up a bottle and just basically tried to sit him down on the sofa. And because he was overtired, he was just rushing around and over tearful because he was so tired. And rather than trying to quieten him down, sit him down, like trying to move that last bit of energy from him, he picked him up and flung him against the wall. And I witnessed that, and although he didn't direct any violence towards me, seeing that had a definite impact. And when someone tells you you'll get into trouble, or when someone tells you you won't be loved anymore, and they can do that, you kind of believe what they say, and you haven't really got a choice. I told my mom when I was 8, and it was difficult. I mean, when I told her, she didn't doubt what I'd said, because she knew when I told her. She knew the signs were there, but she had ignored them because I didn't articulate. I wasn't in a position to articulate, and so she wasn't to know. And still to this day, she still beats herself up about it and thinks, what if I had taken on board what you'd say? That little comment that I kind of went, oh no, that's fine, you're just a bit grouchy, or you want to be around your mom, but you can't be around me all the time. What if I'd actually looked at that and said, why is she reacting that way? Why is it always when this particular person is around does she react that way? The repercussions of that continue. So I've got 2 little brothers now who are 8 and 4, and my mom won't leave them. Now she's overly cautious in terms of who she leaves with them. So unless it's myself, my stepdad, or her, or my brother. So basically the 4 adults who are 4 direct relations, even then she'll want to know where they're at, what they are doing. She's overly cautious now, and she can't trust no one, and she asks questions all the time. To a certain extent that's healthy, but yeah, it's had a massive impact in terms of their upbringing, her outlook on life, and it's had a massive impact in herself as well. So in terms of her social life, she finds it very difficult to trust people as a result of the one person that she brought into her life trusted and betrayed that trust. Similarly, our relationship was impacted through the ages of 10 to 18. We both had to attend counseling, either just for ourselves or together, to try to rebuild the relationship. Because in terms of the impact on me, it had a massive effect, so I became a social recluse. My only focus, the only thing I could focus on was just schoolwork. I couldn't do anything else particularly. And slowly but surely I started to understand, because I'd started blaming myself. So when I'd see my mom crying at night because of what had happened, I would think, that's my fault, I've done that. And I really did think my mom would love me less for it. If anything, she loved me more for it, but because she was struggling with it as well. She couldn't articulate that, and it had a massive impact on our relationship. We're a very strong mother-daughter bond, and I think she would have hoped that I would have been able to tell her, but with all the different bits and pieces coupled with it, I wasn't able to. So we are now in a position where we can talk about it quite openly, and that's a healthy thing. That's a good thing. In terms of my relationship with my dad, my mom and dad split up when I was 10 years old, and I didn't tell him what had happened at the same time as I told my mom, partly because your mom's your mom, and I guess you've got that close relationship with your mom. I know that different people have got different strong relationship with either their mom or their dad, but my go-to person was definitely my mom. And also partly probably down to the fact that my dad was very much the old school generation. So he was in his late 50s, early 60s when it happened. And it got to the point where he probably wouldn't understand. It probably would break his heart first and foremost. I was his only daughter. Yeah, it would have broken his heart, but also in terms of trying to explain to him, I don't think it's a process I could have gone through at the time. So I told him when I was 18, and that was difficult, and it was like going through it all again, like with my mom, but it was worthwhile doing. I probably wish I had done it sooner, but at that moment in time, you just need to do what you have to do. So I guess in terms of the impact, I mean, it's still ongoing. I mean, probably my advice would be, if I had to give you one thing to take away today, and by listening to my story, would be this isn't something that happens in the movies or on TV, or it happens to other people elsewhere. This is something that happens within our community. There are hundreds and hundreds of people who will have gone through similar circumstances, or they will know someone who has gone through something similar, and we need to talk about it more. It's not something that can be hidden away. And the only other thing I'd say is, if you do get the sense that your child is trying to tell you something, I mean, I was in a position where it was a family member at home, but this is something that can happen to your child at school. It could be something that happens in the local Quran classes, or at a mosque, or at the community center. It can happen anywhere. So if your child does say, actually, I don't want to spend time with this person, question yourself why. Or if someone says to you, it's fine, leave the child in my care for a little bit, it won't matter, it's only for 2 or 3 minutes, question whether or not that's necessary, and actually if it's safe to do so.